All right, digital applications. Let's get started here. All right, it's a little bit late in the week. Hopefully you guys have started your typing skills with EduTyping. And we're going to get started here back with our PowerPoint skills. So we're going to pick up on that same PowerPoint presentation that we've been working on. So you can open up your PowerPoint activity 4. We just made some beautiful flowers, and we also added some different animations as well as transitions. So what we're going to do next is we are going to add, and we're going to talk about SmartArt. Now, SmartArt is a really, really awesome, powerful tool. It can make your slides look a lot better laid out. It can fill it, make the information look more interesting, and can even make the information more easily understood. But what we're going to, it also has some issues if you're trying to use it incorrectly. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to create SmartArt effectively, and we're going to do it using SmartArt. So I'm going to click on slide 5. Actually, before I go any further, I'm going to rename my file. File, save as. We're going to save the copy and we're going to change the name. So we're going to change it to activity 5. I'm putting .example. You should put .your initials. And here we go. Now with my new file, I'm going to select slide 5. And I'm going to insert, in the Home tab, I'm going to put in a new slide. Clicking there, we're going to use the title and content layout. And we're going to add a slide. All right, so at the top we have our title placeholder. It says click to add title, so I'm going to click there in my title placeholder and we're going to type creating SmartArt. It's actually one word. Microsoft capitalizes the S and the A for smart and art. If you're doing like caps and lowercase. But you'll see that. Now, here in the content placeholder for your text, you'll see that there are some buttons here where we can add a picture, a table, and right here, this is the symbol for SmartArt. So let's enter it that way. I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and it's going to give me the most basic kind of SmartArt, which is this kind of list here. Okay? Now, let's start by just adding the right kind of information. Well, no. We're going to start here in the contextual SmartArt tab. Notice that while I'm in my SmartArt area, I have a SmartArt contextual tab that pops up. So I'm going to click on there. I'm going to see some different information. We're going to start off by changing the style or the layout of the SmartArt. Okay, now SmartArt is broken up into kind of 4 categories. I think on the desktop version there are more categories, but here we've got list, cycle, process, and hierarchy. Those are 4 different categories. This is just kind of like a quick button up at the top. What I want you to choose is this grouped list in the list section. It'll look like this. Notice that we've got the SmartArt off to the right. It's waiting for text to be written in. And then on the left-hand side, we have this area right here, which is a box where you can type in text. I can close this if I don't want it there. And you can actually click again and it'll reopen it. All right, so we're going to put in some crucial information here discussing how we want to create a SmartArt. So over on the left-hand side, I'm going to click next to my first bullet, and we're going to first ask a couple of questions. Is the idea one of the following? you're typing this along with me. I can use the down arrow to move to the next bullet. A list. I can tap enter to create a new bullet. A cycle. And press the down arrow if I want. A process. A hierarchy. All right, so if we're going to use SmartArt, it needs to fit this one of these structures here. Otherwise, SmartArt is not a good thing to use. And I see a lot of students using SmartArt just as a decorative tool, and they end up misrepresenting information. It looks very amateur, okay? So the first thing you want to ask is the information, does it fall under one of these kinds of categories? We're going to talk more about that on the next slide. Okay, so now I'm going to click on the next major bullet. You see that the ones that are far off to the left are the top pieces of text, and the ones that are kind of indented represent the lesser piece of information, okay? So, all right, the next question is, does SmartArt help the viewer or reader, right? So whatever SmartArt you decide to use, does it fit the idea? We need to make sure that, whatever the SmartArt tool we use actually fits the idea. And is it better than a bulleted list? Many things can be represented very nicely, if we look at our previous slide here, just by having a nice bulleted list. Would this be better in a SmartArt? Well, on this slide, I have a nice kind of piece of art over here. That SmartArt might just make it look cluttered. Does it help over here? Well, yeah, this is kind of nice. It's got a nice look to it. It shows a list, and I think that it kind of helps represent that information for my reader. All right, this slide right here, slide number 3, it's looking a little empty, right? So either a picture or SmartArt might actually help this be represented easier to my viewer. All right. Back to our slide 6. I'm looking over here at my third major bullet, which is it the right amount of information? Meaning, if it's too little, like there's too little information, that makes the SmartArt seem unnecessary. Too much can feel cluttered. And what you should be doing instead of using SmartArt is use more slides. All right, so sometimes one of the problems with SmartArt is that it tries to get a whole idea onto a single slide. And I have seen this many times before with students, is they get kind of too much compacted onto one slide, and there's really too much to kind of talk about. And yeah, just like I said, what you really need to do is kind of break out of that SmartArt idea and instead place multiple ideas on multiple slides. Okay? This right here, this example right here, actually, is a good kind of question mark, right? Because in a way, this looks nice. It's kind of consolidated onto a single slide. It asks 3 questions, and it gives you some information based on those questions, okay? And I think that there's an opinion there where this might be better if I wanted to discuss this with my audience, to breaking this up actually into 3 slides, okay? So this one I think kind of is right on the border of whether, and therefore is a good example to think about, is this good to have it all on one slide, or would it be better to break this up on multiple slides? Okay. So here are some first kind of guiding questions to creating SmartArt. The next thing that I'm going to do is add another slide. So we're going to go ahead and do new slide. Again, we're going to use title and content. Add slide. This time we're going to go into the Insert tab, and we're going to look at SmartArt here. Okay, so this is a second way to add SmartArt. And with this one, we are going to use, where is it? This hierarchy list. Okay, starts off looking like this. Let's put in some information. So we have our different categories. We have a list, we have a cycle, we've got more than that. So let's see. I'm going to press Enter to create another bullet. Notice where my cursor was. It was right here. I press Enter to create a new bullet. Now, I don't want this to be down here, so this enters this other kind of idea. When I want to promote a bullet to like a higher level, I'm going to use Shift Tab. And you notice that that now becomes a third major category. This is a process. I press Enter, and that's going to create another major list. Now what I can do, or major item, is I can press the Tab key to demote it. I'm going to create a couple of boxes here. Enter. And then what I want is to press Shift Tab to create one for hierarchy. Enter. Tab. Okay, so I've got my 4 major categories here, and I have some bullets underneath it. Now, and that's using either Tab to demote to the right or Shift Tab to promote to the left. Okay, promotion means it's kind of a higher order item, and demote means it's a lower level order, meaning these little white boxes belong to the higher structure, which is like cycle and list here. Now, I'm running low on time and I'm still working on this, so I'm going to stop this video and we're going to fill this in and work on a couple other things in part 2. All right.